It's high time to awake. Bible prophecy with Craig C. White. Hello, everybody. This is Craig C. White with hightimetoawake.com. Today's study is titled Erdogan is the Antichrist. I know that there are a lot of theories about who the Antichrist might be, or even when he might come on the scene, but I want to tell you right now that Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is the Antichrist, and I'm going to prove that to you from the Bible. Now, President Erdogan became Turkish Prime Minister in 2002 and was Prime Minister for 12 years until he was elected President of Turkey in December 2014. So Erdogan has been the President of Turkey for just a little over a year. Turkish President Erdogan has moved Turkey in a more and more Islamic direction. He has a stated goal of reestablishing a Turkish-led Ottoman Empire. He also has a stated goal of making the office of president in Turkey a dictatorship. After Erdogan was elected president, he gave a speech declaring his two primary objectives. They were to remove President Assad from Syria and also to reinstate President Morsi in Egypt. If you'll remember, President Morsi was the Muslim Brotherhood candidate in Egypt who was elected but then was ousted by the Egyptian military. Both of these goals are something that the Bible tells us that the Antichrist will do. In Isaiah chapter 17 and in Jeremiah chapter 49, we're told about the destruction of Damascus. In Isaiah chapter 10, the Antichrist is compared to the ancient Assyrian kings. The ancient Assyrian kings did two things. They conquered Syria in 734 BC, and then afterwards they invaded northern Israel. The Assyrians came back in 701 BC and invaded southern Israel. Isaiah compares the Antichrist to the ancient Assyrian kings, not because the Antichrist will come from Assyria, which is northern Iraq today, but Isaiah compares the Antichrist to the ancient Assyrian kings because he will do the same things that the ancient Assyrian kings did. So the ancient Assyrian kings conquered Syria and then led an invasion into northern Israel. Turkish President Erdogan is poised to do these same exact things. The Turkish army is massed along the Syrian border, ready to go into Syria, with Erdogan's stated goal of removing Assad from Damascus. Turkish President Erdogan has also announced to the Islamic world that Jerusalem must be conquered for Islam. In Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 5, it explains a Turkish-led invasion into Israel with three nations. Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 5 says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Persia is today's Iran. The word that is translated Ethiopia in the King James Bible is the name Cush. Cush settled in the land south of Egypt. The land south of Egypt today is Sudan. So whenever you see the name Ethiopia in the English Bible, it is more accurately referring to the nation of Sudan. So Iran, Sudan, and the third nation is Libya. All of these nations are fighting in Syria today. So the Ezekiel chapter 38 invasion into Israel could very easily happen after Turkey conquers Syria and destroys Damascus. These are the same things that the ancient Assyrian kings did, and the Bible indicates that the Antichrist will do the same things. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4, it says this about the Antichrist, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So the Antichrist will claim that he is God. Turkish President Erdogan has already claimed that he is God. The highest board of Muslim clerics in Istanbul, Turkey, has already claimed that Turkish President Erdogan is equal to Allah. In Turkey, Erdogan supporters conducted a campaign inviting Turkish citizens to celebrate Erdogan's holy birthday. Turkish President Erdogan has already claimed that he is God. He sees himself as the next sultan of a revived Ottoman Empire led by Turkey. Every past sultan of the Ottoman Empire built a mosque dedicated to himself. Turkish President Erdogan has built the largest mosque in Istanbul with the highest minarets in Turkey. Erdogan dedicated this mosque to the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. The only problem is that there is no Ottoman Empire at this point. So Erdogan is looking to the future when he can officially declare himself as the true ruler of the Islamic world. Turkish President Erdogan has also announced his plans to form a new Islamic Union led by Turkey. This new Islamic Union would be the beginning of a revived Ottoman Empire. The first likely nations of this union would be Turkey, a conquered Syria, along with Iraq and Iran. Ezekiel chapter 38 describes a Middle Eastern invasion into Israel. In Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 1 it says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." So Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, will lead this invasion. Magog, Meshech, and Tubal are all people. They're names of men. You can find all of their names in the genealogies in the Bible. Magog, Meshech, and Tubal are all grandsons of Noah. They all settled in the land that we call Turkey today. Magog, Meshech, and Tubal were princes that were set over provinces in what we call Turkey today. So the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal is the primary governor or most prominent prince amongst the provinces of Turkey. Turkish President Erdogan was Prime Minister of Turkey for 12 years and is now President of Turkey. So he is the primary governor amongst the provinces of Turkey. Turkish President Erdogan will conquer Syria, destroy Damascus, and then lead the forces that are now fighting into Syria into northern Israel, just like Ezekiel chapter 38 describes. In Ezekiel chapter 39, another invasion into Israel is described. This invasion is also led by the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Ezekiel chapter 39 describes the same battle as the Battle of Armageddon. The Battle of Armageddon, which is the same battle that is described in Ezekiel chapter 39, happens at the end of the tribulation period. Jesus Christ will come back in person and destroy these armies that have gathered against Israel. The Antichrist is also called the Prince who is to come. Turkish President Erdogan is the chief prince of Turkey. Islam also uses the term prince to describe the Sultan of the Islamic world, or the Caliph of the Islamic Empire. In Daniel chapter 11 verse 37 it says this about the Antichrist: "Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all, but in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a god whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things." These verses are saying that the Antichrist will exalt himself above all things. In verse 37 it says that he will not honor the desire of women. Turkish President Erdogan has just announced to the world that women are not equal to men. He also said that freedom and democracy have no value in Turkey. In Daniel chapter 11 verse 38 it says, "But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces." Turkish President Erdogan has built the largest palace in the world. Inside of his palace he honors the God of the Ottoman Empire. Erdogan has filled the palace with very expensive things and proudly displays Turkish soldiers who are dressed in Ottoman Empire-era armament to entertain visiting dignitaries. The word estate in verse 38 can easily be translated as palace. Turkish President Erdogan is honoring the God of the Ottoman Empire in his palace. The Antichrist will confirm a peace treaty with Israel for 7 years, and in the middle of its term he will break it. During this 7-year period, Israel will be oppressed by world powers. Matthew chapter 24 calls the second half of this 7-year tribulation period Jerusalem's Great Tribulation. It will be the worst time of trouble that Jerusalem has ever endured. Also during this 7-year tribulation, the nations will be judged by God. There will be earthquakes and famines and disease and wars and every sort of trouble. If Turkish President Erdogan is the Antichrist, and he is, then the church has a very short time before it's taken away to safety into heaven. It's high time to awake, because our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. Make sure you go to hightimetoawake.com, check out my Bible prophecy commentaries, and also check out my Bible prophecy books on Amazon. This is Craig C. White with hightimetoawake.com, and I'll see you next time.